Here we are. Back at the normal time, Jay.
Oh yeah, it feels good.
Hopefully
Well,
no
technically
interruptions.
earlier, but
True, true,
yeah.
true. Um,
Oh man,
yeah,
I'm super
true.
cozy right now.
How has your week been?
I don't know. Hard to say. It's been up and down, definitely. Like mixed feelings. Really like
Okay.
hard. I'll get into it more in a bit, but
Okay.
you know.
Well, just to let everyone know, Jay, I got COVID for the first time, I think,
Yeah,
which is
you
crazy.
think for the first time.
And I think, and so I've been off, and that has meant more games, Jay.
Oh
More
yeah,
games.
actually, you know what? I didn't even think about that.
It's
In
true.
my mind, I just thought you'd be like bedridden and not really like up for much.
I was most of the time, to be fair. Like, because
Well, there
I
you
mean,
go.
we said this before, Jay, right? Like, gaming's not like a necessarily relaxing,
No,
you know.
you have to actually be pretty on
Right.
and sort of like not ill to want to play a game. Like I've found whenever I'm ill, it's depending on how bad it is, it's very 50-50. Like one minute I'll be in the mood for like, oh, I could replay a game, and the next I feel so crappy that I'm like, I don't want to even like turn on the TV. I just want to close my eyes and go to bed.
Yeah, literally. And it's funny because it's the same with films, even though films
Oh
require
yeah,
less attention. Like,
yeah.
even when you're ill, like, I feel like watching films is a struggle. And also, Jay, do you get this right? If you watch a film or TV show or something when you're ill, do you always associate that film or TV show with being ill? Because I do.
I do that with a lot of things. Like there'll be things where like I'll feel like really bad a certain day, and if I just so happen to like play a game or listen to a bit of music or watch a TV show, watch a film in that same day, I'll then associate that bit of media with feeling bad,
Right.
which can have quite a bad effect because I feel like I get that a lot with like games. Like part of the reason why I like to be in a certain mode or like in being like my environment needs to be just right for me to like enjoy stuff. It's because I know that if I'm slightly uncomfortable, I'll then associate that discomfort with that game, and then it'll make the game bad, which is not a fun thing. Sometimes I'll forget. Most of the time, I'll forget that I ever felt like that. So I'm sure there's been plenty of times where there's like during like Final Fantasy or any of those like really good games that I played over the last year or two. Like I'm sure I felt terrible during some of that, but I can't remember. Hard to say.
Oh, very good. Well, without further ado, Jay, we've got a lot to talk about this week, so let's get right into it.
Ready to
So, for those
rumble.
who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TGO show, a video game podcast, including the Godlots gamer himself,
Yeah.
Mr. J, and Nightal Nick, I guess. That's
Yeah,
me.
that's the
Feels a
name
bit
I
weird to
gave
talk
you.
about myself like that, but yes. So we talk about loads of different video game stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Not too topical, not too nostalgic either, I would say. A little bit in between.
Well,
Right?
nostalgic
There's some
for
new.
us.
Like there's some new. Yeah. Like what I mean is, it's not all old games, you know.
Oh, I see. Sure.
Yeah. So we've got lots of different segments and things, but first off, Jay, one of the games that I got to play and finish while I was sort of
Oh,
ill
I think I know which one.
was Life is Strange: True Colors.
Yeah.
Finally.
Okay. Sweet. How
So
was that?
are we ready to go in, Jay? Was there anything I missed in the intro?
No, that's fine.
Okay, all right, crack on. Please take us, Jay, to topic screen number one.
Numero uno.
Right, Jay,
Okay.
I've got some thoughts.
Yeah.
Just let me know if you want to chime in, okay? So, background on Life is Strange: True Colors. Bought it in December when it was on offer. Haven't got round to playing it. I've now played it. Well done, Nick. So, I won't bore you, Jay. I don't think you've played any of the Life is Strange games, have you?
It's weird. Like I have an idea of what I think Life is Strange is in my head, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
I remember Life is Strange 1 coming out,
Yeah.
and vaguely I remember it being about. It kind of reminds me of that Tale of Two Brothers.
Yeah.
For some reason, I get Life is Strange and Tale of Two Brothers mixed up sometimes. I think it's because is Life is Strange where there's like two boys, like a younger brother and an older brother?
That's brothers.
That is Tale 2 Brothers.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So that's why I'm getting mixed up. And then my only other knowledge of it is that there's a girl and she has some sort of weird power, whether it be like a psychic type thing. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
That's like
that's
pretty
fair.
much the extent, and it's very like I like the sort of like artistic, stylized way that the game is like drawn, I guess, or like animated.
Animated. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a very like indie feel to it.
Yes.
Lots of like autumn colors is what I imagine. That's like pretty much my
100%.
knowledge, so we'll go with that. Enlighten me.
So, do you know what, Jay? I'm going to interrupt myself very quickly.
Sweet.
What was the name of the retirement home that Loki sent Odin to on Earth?
I was waiting for that.
Shady Acres, Meadowview, Orchard Side, or Willow Lands.
It's one of the first two. What were the first two again?
Shady Acres, Meadowview.
I think it's Shady Acres.
Final answer?
Yeah, it's either A or B, but I'm going to go with A.
Right again.
Wow.
And weirdly enough,
Jesus.
it's the same two highlighted again. That is so weird.
Honestly, I'm creeping myself out with my knowledge.
Crikey.
Weird.
So, Jay, Life is Strange is basically... it was an episodic, narrative-driven...
Right, yeah, I wasn't sure about the
game.
episodic thing, yeah.
So... a lot of walking, a lot of like interacting with the environment, a lot of animating. Go on.
A bit like Telltale, Walking Dead
Exactly.
type thing, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the original Life is Strange, just for a bit of context for you, Jay, is basically about a girl called Max who has the supernatural power of being able to rewind time.
Rewind
she then
time.
meets her childhood friend Chloe, and everything sort of escalates from there. But it does deal with very serious topics. It's obviously got your teenage romance, comedy, drama, all of it in a bunch. And then on top of that, you've got that style of the animation, the drawing, the colors, and the music, which is very, very important. So there is a whole indie vibe to Life is Strange. So that's originally what it was. Some of the original game doesn't age that well. But some of it, ultimately, I really still love the vibe and the feel the game has, right? Because like you can't, it's not tangible, Jay. You know what I mean? Like how can you tangibilize vibe? You know what I mean?
Such a good word.
So
tangible. Wow.
The original game was developed by Don't Nod, which is development studio.
Don't Nod.
Sorry, Jay, I'm trying to get a thing because I'm trying to read my.
I don't think I can remember. I don't remember Don't Nod.
Here we go. I'll tell you what game they made. I believe, Jay. Remember Me.
Oh wow!
I
think that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what
similar animation style.
So, so that came out. Loved the first game. I was then really impressed with Before the Storm, which is a 3-episode prequel to Life is Strange. Usually they're 5 episodes, and despite Jay that you know basically what happens to all the characters in Before the Storm, they still made you invested in the journey, which I thought was quite impressive. It's because you already know what's going to happen, but you know, so that was great. That was really, really good. Then I skipped Life is Strange 2 because frankly I didn't hear great things about the story and characters. Okay. But I don't want to confuse you, Jay, but we're going on the road here. I did play Captain Spirit, which is basically a really short demo for Life is Strange 2. And what I liked about that demo was there was a lot of polish on the gameplay, which Telltale Games never had. So it was like, oh, okay, Life is Strange is a hit. We've got a bit more money, and we're actually going to use it and polish the game. And I thought I was like, yeah, fair play for that. And Telltale never did that. So then we come to True Colors, Jay. So True Colors is an entirely separate game and story based around Alex Chen. Okay, so every protagonist you have basically, or there's a protagonist in the story which has a supernatural power. That's part of the twist, right? And Alex Chen, there's a word for it, but I can't remember. God. Oh, emphatic.
One of those.
Anyway, she basically can sense people's emotions and thoughts through their emotions. So I was really skeptical. I reckon, Jay, we probably watched an E3 where this was revealed together.
Yeah,
or
I remember we did.
We talked about it or something, right? and I was a bit skeptical because I was just like, I just don't like the look of this game. I don't like the power. I don't really like the look of the character and stuff like that. But when it came out, I heard pretty good things. Right, I think IGN gave it a 9. Not that that matters, right? But people were like, "Oh, this is pretty good." So I was like, "All right, I'll take a leap of faith and I'll see how it goes." So Jay, now we're in the nitty gritty side of things. This game is very important, Jay, for many reasons.
Uh-oh.
The first is that it's exceptionally good. One of the best games I've played over the last few years. Like, it's up there, and one of the best in the genre by a mile, like 100%. A lot of what it does really works. So the story, the pacing, the characters, the setting, the music, the writing, the performances, all of these are to an excellent standard. And they're really just top class.
I guess that's
and
what the money from the previous ones does, right?
Well,
it allows them to
I
improve.
Hope so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's all extremely excellent. I mean, extremely excellent. Yeah, sure, I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's really top class, and Alex Chen, who originally I was a bit skeptical about, is now one of my favorite characters ever. Like, obviously, there's a list of like 50 characters, but she is up there. And that's just through an 8 to 10 hour experience, right? So you might be like, "Oh, Nick, you love Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. I'm like, yeah, I spent like 250 hours with him probably, or like I didn't, but like 150 hours, right? Whereas Alex, I spent 8 to 10 hours with, and she's still one of my favorite characters.
Well, you can watch a movie for 2 hours and still, have it be your favorite movie. Yeah, it doesn't matter necessarily about the time spent. It's just whether you can enjoy that character or not.
That's true.
Yeah.
The acting is absolutely superb. I thought when I was playing it, it was pretty much up there with the likes of Rockstar and Naughty Dog. Not to say that it is better than that, but for me, it genuinely was up there. Some of the moments of acting, it was really believable. It also respects your time, Jay. And there's a few ways it does this. Obviously, the length of the game naturally, but I think one of the things Life is Strange original, from what I remember, I mean, it's many years ago now. It came out, I think, 2014, Jay, which is like nearly 10 years ago. Can you believe?
Yeah.
Mental. So I think it was then anyway, maybe 2015. Anyway, this sounds so minuscule, but there's a sprint button, but like you actually feel like you move with the sprint button rather than most walking simulator type narrative driven games where like you always feel you're going slow so they can just drag out the game longer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
not necessarily, no.
So they a lot of these games, I find they make you feel slow at all times.
Yeah.
Because they basically want to make the game longer by making you slower.
Yeah.
And I felt that this game didn't do that, and it was just, and I felt like I moved at a good
pace.
So
the first two didn't have a sprint button.
If they did, I didn't feel that sprinty. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. It's more of like a placebo.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Second reason it's very important. It brings up complicated life issues and discusses them in a very philosophical manner, which made me really ponder what people go through in these situations, as I myself haven't really faced that much hardship at all in my life, really.
Sure.
Obviously it's all subjective. We've all faced hardship, but I haven't gone through the hardships of, say, Alex Chen, for instance.
Sure.
And on that aspect, I think it's important that these issues... Well, no, sorry. I think it brings up important issues within the story, and I applaud it for that, generally. Thirdly, it brings up an interesting conversation, Jay, about how other creators can surpass that which they did not originally create, right? So, Dontnod, in my opinion, have made the best Life is Strange game, but they didn't make Life is Strange. You know what I mean? A bit like what I hoped Disney would do with Star Wars, right? Disney didn't make Star Wars,
yes.
but you'd hope that they would have surpassed some of the other stuff, right?
You would hope.
So Oh
Still
god,
time. Still
hilarious.
time.
Sure. I mean, there's infinite amount of time now, isn't
Now
there?
there
There's
is. Yeah.
fucking. Oh my god. Nearly done, Jay. Don't worry.
No, I like this.
Lastly,
It's good.
it course corrects the Life is Strange
Course
path,
correct.
right?
Okay.
So Life is Strange 2, I think, wasn't received quite as well. You know, very ambitious, episodic release, but wasn't received quite as well. I think Life is Strange True Colors, we now have the best Life is Strange game out there. We now have that as the most recent game. So now it's a case of, right, what can you guys do next, you know?
This kind of just
Um,
reminds me of like the
yeah.
trilogy type thing that happens, where the first movie is usually a classic, second movie is usually awful, and the third movie is usually a good comeback, right? Sort of like closer to the first one, but like hardly anything like the second one.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like trilogy is almost always the second movie is the worst one. Or
I
if you've
haven't
got if
I
you've
haven't
got
thought about
some
it.
sort of film series that usually one of the middle ones isn't very good.
Right.
Which I don't think you could say about Harry Potter because they're all good, but there are 8 of them.
I would argue.
Oh, is there one you
No,
don't
you're
like?
right. They are all good, Jay. They are all good, but you could definitely pick out a worst one, right? Definitely, Hallows Part One is
Oh,
atrocious,
really?
Jay. Oh, dude, they're in a campsite for most of the film.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, yeah. Hallow's Part One is probably like just more of like a bridge between 6 and 8. So yeah,
Yeah,
true. Okay.
but again, not bad, Jay.
I'm trying to think of
Just
like
saying.
other one that I don't know if this is actually story wise is definitely not, but gameplay wise is the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy.
Oh God,
Um,
mate, I love you so
I
much.
don't
Go on.
know if the second one is bad. I have it and I will play it eventually, but I don't
Hold on,
know if the
Jay.
second one's
We
bad.
we talked about 13.2 a lot back in the day because you had the guide for it and you talked to me
Yeah,
over the mic with it.
yeah. Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember
You
that.
did, but I haven't played Lightning Returns and you haven't either, right?
No, the third one, no. But I do know what I've watched someone play through them both. So to me, they're
What?
great. But
Sure. What? So you think out of that trilogy, you think 2 might be the weakest one then,
no, I'm just
from what
saying
you've
that
seen?
I don't
Oh,
think
okay.
it follows the trend. Is what I'm saying. I think they're all great.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just
Well,
trying to think of like other trilogy. Gears of War 2 was that good? I liked Gears of War 2.
I
I
think
actually
it's
think
my
Gears of War
favorite,
3 might have been
the
the
weakest
worst
one.
one.
Yeah,
Out of the first
correct.
three, I think
Yeah.
it goes 2, 1, 3, potentially 1, 2, 3.
Agreed. That's
Yeah.
surprisingly accurate for someone who hasn't played Gears for a long time.
Well, that's the thing. Gears 1, 2, and 3 are fairly nostalgic to me, but after that, it just sort of like went away. What about
And you
Halo
know,
1, 2, and 3? Halo
I
2
mean,
is the best one.
yeah, it is. Yeah, but Lord of the Rings: Two Towers is, I think, the worst
Oh,
one personally. But a lot of people list as their
I
favorite.
do quite like the second one.
But then you've
Yeah.
got Star Wars, where Empire Strikes Back is the best one.
Oh
Also,
man, this could all be a whole different thing.
we could
I
do this
like that we
forever.
stumbled upon this like trilogy
But
fallacy
I
or
know what
whatever.
you're
I don't know.
saying, Jay. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
plenty of examples where 2 basically acts
Yeah,
as a
2
bridge
just
between
sort
1
of
and
like
3.
it's almost like trying to catch lightning in a bottle again, and they just missed the mark, you know. Because there's so many games or so many like viral things where like one thing comes out and it's like right, I now need to do that thing but slightly different to seem like I'm not just like a one-trick pony, you know. That's probably what happened is that they tried to not be a one-trick pony and failed. It seems.
Sure.
But they came back with 3, so there is just the 3 Life is Strange games then.
So there's 4.
There's
So
4.
you've
Okay,
got Life
what
is
am I missing?
Strange,
Yep.
Before the Storm, which is the prequel.
Oh, the prequel. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Life is Strange 2, and then this one.
Okay.
But to be fair, Jay, like Before the Storm's only 3 episodes, so
More like
you know,
DLC.
Yes,
Almost.
correct. And True Colors
like
is
a Mars
definitely more of a
Morales.
standalone game. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
That's funny.
So, there's conversations, Jay. Are they building up a universe here where Life is Strange 5 will get all of these main characters
I was
in
gonna
one
say,
game?
like, does the third game have anything to do with prequel 1 or 2? Like, is there any crossover whatsoever? Like, is there an instance where you could imagine that all of these characters would come together at some point for whatever reason? Like, it kind of has like a very Skinsy type vibe to me.
That's a great. Oh, You're on it tonight, Jay. I
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah.
That's a great analogy or comparison. So yes, I do. I can see a game where they're all together. Whether I see that game being good or not is another question, of course, and that's a massive topic. In answer to your other question, Jay, I didn't realize this, but there is a really big continuation element, which is a main character called Steph.
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
see, this
Steph is.
I think I've heard this, but yeah, go on.
So Steph is in Before the Storm.
Right.
I didn't realize this because I played Before the Storm 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But she is one of the main characters in this game, so there is
okay.
some sort of you know,
yeah, crossover element.
and I'm sure there's like little cameo bits and stuff.
So did you actually
around.
play the second game? You said you skipped it.
No.
Okay.
Skipped
do
it
you
entirely.
do you plan on going back and playing it? Like, let's say it came out on Game Pass or something. Would you?
It was on Game Pass.
Oh, there you
go. No, mate.
No,
so
not even a
Coops,
possibility.
You know,
okay.
So Coops likes Life is Strange, who you know.
Sure.
And we both played 1 and Before the Storm, and then he played 2, and he didn't really like 2. And I'm gonna be honest, Jay, if Coops doesn't like a game, you know what I mean? You know,
yeah,
like
sure.
well, as in like he likes most games, you know.
Oh, I see.
So
okay, he's like the barometer.
He is the barometer.
Okay.
So I have no intention of doing that, but I am interested to see what Don't Nod come up with next time. I hope it's
okay.
good.
Let's say if Don't Nod came out with another game, would you want to be in Life is Strange or would you want to be a new IP?
Probably a new IP, just for them to flex their muscles a bit.
Would you want it to be the same type of game or a completely different type of game? Much like how so many other developers have made maybe an RTS, but then went into like a action RPG next, you know, something really, really random.
Sure, like Creative Assembly doing Alien Isolation after RTS games and stuff. Yeah. I think they should do whatever they want to do and get move away from Life is Strange for a bit, you know, flex their muscles elsewhere, and then come back to it. Is what I think.
Okay.
So if I'm honest, Jay, my main takeaway moving forward from this is I'm keeping a strong eye on Deck 9, who made True Colors. So Deck 9 made True Colors. Don't Nod made the other 2.
Oh, I
games.
see.
Right,
this is where I'm getting confused now. Okay, so what do you think? Deck 9 are going to do something different, or are they going to come back to Life is Strange?
I reckon they're going to stick with Life is Strange for the time being, and because obviously it's a bit of a cash cow for Square Enix now, I assume, because it's quite popular. I assume.
We need to talk about this eventually, but Square Enix is having a bit of a mare at the minute.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
They're having a bit of trouble. I think they're having a bit too much Western influence, if you ask me.
But Jay, do you know what's so weird about that? How can you come out with a masterpiece like Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 and then like everything else from the same company? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Square Enix are one of these developers that they either hit it out of the park or they completely miss. There's never really an in between. And if there is an in between, it's very like.
I know what you mean.
Like it's sort of more of like a Marmite than anything else.
That is
like,
true.
The people who play it love it, and the people who don't play it hate it. You
know? Yeah. That is true though. Like think of Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah, it's out of the park every time.
Hate Final Fantasy X, or it's their favorite Final Fantasy, or they hate 13, or it's one of their favorites.
Very little middle ground. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be keeping a close eye on Deck 9. But overall, Jay, I love this game. It really won me over, and I wish I could play it blind all over again. There were some twists in it, which I really did expect from episode 1. People were like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yes, I did. But there were some twists I didn't expect, so I loved it. And yeah, highly recommend.
Okay. Sweet.
Jay, should we... While we're on this topic, kind of not. Obviously, so I'm not sure how much you want to go into this because obviously I would like to still keep the AC DLC special.
Yeah.
Do you want to let us know what you
want
to
just give some very brief details on what's going on. So I've played it. I've finished it.
Boom.
Roasted.
Another day in the office.
Yeah, exactly. You know how I am. Yeah, and I started playing it. When did I start playing it? I started playing it maybe Friday night.
Yeah.
Because I think we obviously did the podcast on Thursday. so I didn't play it until the next day. And then I think I finished it very early Sunday morning, as I deliberately went to bed early and I got up early just so I could play more, I guess. So it definitely wasn't as long as I had hoped, which is frustrating because of the price. I think this DLC is not worth the current price point that it's at. Not even close.
Okay.
I think this current price point is minimum 2 DLCs for that price. Minimum.
Really?
Of this size too. I was a little bit disappointed.
Are we effectively talking about a DLC that is just a little bit bigger than the last 2 DLCs we got then, sort of thing? Or
I'd say about the same size.
are you genuinely?
Yeah. What? So what was the last place was Paris?
Paris, which was a little bit smaller than Ireland, but Ireland was
I'd say
sizable.
this was probably about the same size as Ireland.
Really?
Yeah. And the DLCs we got from the first season pass cost what, 20 something quid combined, roughly?
I think.
What was the season pass price? 25?
I think it's 30 or 40 retail, but did you get it? Did you get the premium edition, Jay?
Yeah, I got the special edition, so I got it with. So I would have paid maybe 90 quid.
Okay, yeah, so let's say 30 quid. So let's say about the same as Ragnarok, I would say.
Yeah, so you're basically getting the equivalent of 2 DLCs for one that's about the same size as the first one that you got anyway.
Right, okay.
So I'm actually kind of so you said you weren't going to buy this until it came down in price?
Yeah.
If ever?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if it's going to come down in price. I can imagine it coming down in price, but I don't know when. That's
I don't know.
Because we're not. I doubt we're going to see another DLC from AC anymore. I mean, this is it, isn't it?
I think we might get one more later on this year, maybe.
Really? I don't even know what to expect, honestly.
But I mean, look, you've played it, so you would know the story beats better than I. But I think we are. Although, obviously, Jay, there was that rumor of a standalone game being explored from being.
Oh, we're still waiting
DLC.
for the multiplayer thing, aren't we? The Infinite or whatever it is, AC Infinite.
That's
what
a separate game.
Is that a different thing? Game. Okay.
Yeah. That's coming 2 years minimum.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed it. It was still as fun as they usually are.
Yeah. How
and
were you going back to Valhalla?
Yeah.
In general.
Say again.
How were you going back to Valhalla in general?
I actually got into it really, really quick. It's weird because I'd been playing Elden Ring for the couple of days before that. I was pressing buttons that were all Elden Ring buttons. So I was my head was still the muscle memory still hadn't kicked in yet, you know.
Sure.
So that was annoying. I made a couple mistakes pressing buttons I shouldn't have done. Yeah, there's actually a couple of things I want to. Do you know about the tomb of something? What is it on AC?
The free updates, or is this part of the DLC?
I think this is a free update. I didn't even realize what it was. I just saw it in the achievements and thought, what the hell is this thing? It's like a tomb or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I told you about these, dude.
I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah, no worries.
I might have to go back and check those.
I think it was a free update, which basically just put these tombs in, which are puzzly type things.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check those out at some point. Yeah, I won't say too much more because I actually kind of want to get your opinion on one thing in particular.
Okay.
But I also don't want to sway how you may or may not feel about the DLC because I know you're going to enjoy it. I know you are. It's AC.
Yeah,
you kind of have to, right?
I'm quite excited to play it, actually, Jay. If I'm truly honest with you, mate, I was kind of looking at it maybe I should just get it. You know, talk about it with Jay on the podcast. You know, that's how I was thinking.
Oh, I will say the runtime for me was about 13 hours. So it's about an hour more than what PowerPix would said it was going to be. So.
That's mental, Jay. I thought even gold lock speed you'd be looking at 2025 for sure.
Oh yeah, well I was kind of half expecting that, but I think where did we get that 25-30 hour mark from? Was that from marketing or something?
Yeah, I think
that is false.
I'm pretty sure that number came from Ubisoft saying it's going to be between 30 to 40 hours.
See that annoys me because all that tells me is that Ubisoft thought we've got them. I can't wait for that money to come in. That money's going to roll in.
Right.
This was definitely a cash grab. I don't know why it was a cash grab. I think it's because they know they're not going to be releasing an AC this year. So they basically wanted you to pay for like half of an AC game for what should have been only like maybe a fifth or a quarter of what an AC game should have cost.
Are we not getting an AC game though, Jay? Because
This
we
year,
are
I
due
don't
one
think
this
so.
year.
Because didn't
'Cause
Valhalla came out 2020?
2020.
Yeah.
And Odyssey came out 2018.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like we would have
But
seen
then
marketing by now.
we have had these huge DLCs since Odyssey.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we're getting one till next year, honestly.
I get your point. I don't know yet, but I see what you're
I feel like they're just trying to. It almost feels like a sort of like a fundraiser for the next thing they're trying to do.
Did it, Jay? A bit like Borderlands 3, Jay. I get the impression that these second year expansions aren't planned much ahead of time as the first years are. So the season pass DLC feels like absolutely planned, right?
Feels like it was on purpose, yeah.
Right, and the same with Borderlands 3 year one, right? We had 4 story DLCs, we played them all cracking.
Awesome. Yeah.
Then we got another season pass at the same price for like 2 DLCs, and it was like, wait, what? I guess that was because season pass 1 was that successful, and it feels a little bit like this with Valhalla, right? Season pass 1 sold really well, I guess, so let's make some more DLC. Let's get a really big DLC, Dawn of Ragnarok out. Oh wait, lol jokes, it's not that big.
Yeah, this is definitely a sort of like, haha, we got you, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's kind of, it honestly feels like I got. That's what it feels like.
So
it feels like I've been had.
You don't regret buying and playing it, but you wish it was longer, right?
It's weird. I was having a shower a little while ago, and I thought to myself, I'll buy this day one so you don't have to, kind of thing,
What, me or people?
Just in general, anybody, anybody who wants to hear this. But I kind of feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I bought it because I was in the mood for it, and I kind of felt like playing it. But
yeah,
part of me wishes I would have waited and maybe got it half price or something. But I wouldn't have known unless I played it. That's the problem. So I guess I'm basically saving you the 15 quid potentially, the 10, 15 quid, just to wait a little while. But I mean, if there's anything we've learned while doing this podcast, it's that to never buy anything day one, unless you really, really want to. I feel like there is it's almost like a yes man type thing. Like, say yes to everything, not always.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like. Buy everything day one, but don't unless you really, really want to. Like, it's that kind of thing, It's just the everything in moderation, but yeah, I guess this is just sort of like a warning, but also like it's still going to be enjoyable. Like, I think a big part of the reason why I did finish it quickly, but I was very efficient about the way I went about it,
Sure.
Like, I'm all about efficiency when it comes to AC or just any game in general. So I reckon had I taken my time, I think I could have stretched it to 20. I wouldn't have no way. And 30 to 40 is like a fever dream. It's like there's no way. I don't think anybody. I think,
even for me,
even for you, I think you'll get it under 20. 100% you'll get it under 25. You'll probably get it under 20.
Okay, all right.
I think just because I know, I think if this was like the first bit of AC content you'd ever played, then you might have maybe stretched it to 28.
Sure.
But even then, like, a struggle, you'd have to play it so slowly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a total, we got you type situation. Like, April Fools came early kind of thing,
Okay.
But I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time. I liked it.
Okay. Jay, I think there's something wrong with me, dude, because I don't know what it is. But Valhalla might be the only game which is kind of bloated and does go on too long, and yet I love playing it. I don't know why. It is for you. It's for me what Odyssey is to you, and it's weird because almost no other game does that for me, right? Anytime there's a live service game, I don't really get into it. Anytime a single player game's too bloated, like a game I'll talk about later, I don't get into it. But Valhalla just works for me. I don't know why.
It almost feels like Valhalla feels like a game, like a live service game.
Yes.
At times. But while I've been playing it, I kind of feel like now, if AC came out with a live service game, I think I'd actually enjoy that.
Well, I think that's what Infinity's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy that at this point. I think AC is... The reason why it is the way it is to basically get you ready for that. It's to make you feel like, oh, I can play AC for longer than 20 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours. Like, minimum 100, basically, at this point, Like AC has become like a very, very long game now, more like a Witcher type thing, you know.
It has. It has.
Yeah, maybe it's for the better, maybe it's for the worse. We'll see. I think probably. I mean, I'd rather an AC game be as long as possible, but you know, just because I want to get my money's worth. I've definitely got my money's worth. I think that's probably the good thing about it, Valhalla is I've probably got my money's worth, but only just. I've put 143 hours in, and I've technically spent 123 pounds on AC.
Yes,
Because it would have been the 90 and then the 33 on the new DLC. So I've got my money's worth by about 20 hours or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And Jay, I'm getting very excited by this other game you have on the dock here. I'm just making sure I'm reading it right.
Okay.
Pokemon Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah, so you mentioned to me you played Sapphire last week, right?
Yeah.
And I remembered, I think I even spoke to you about it on the podcast, or maybe right after the podcast, after we finished recording. But I said to myself, oh yeah, I bought Omega Ruby when it came out, completed that, probably spent like, I don't know, maybe 250 hours on that game. I put a lot of time into that game. And I remember buying Alpha Sapphire like separately, like last year, like maybe during lockdown, as like I kind of want to play the game again, but I don't want to reset my Omega Ruby save. So I was like, yeah, I'll just buy the Alpha Sapphire, it'll be fine. And I just didn't touch it. I played it for like 10 hours or so, and then I just stopped playing it. So I thought, oh, I'll try it out. I tried it out last night and this very early this morning, and I was like, yeah, I might potentially just give this another go. I actually got really lucky. So your starter Pokemon, you can like reset to get the correct nature you want on your Pokemon if you do it a certain way. And the Pokemon I chose was Sceptile or Trico. And Trico becomes into Grovyle and then Sceptile. But Sceptile is like a special attack user, so you kind of want to get the nature that's like the best special attack one. And on my second try this morning, I got Modest, which is like the best one to get. So I get lucky like that sometimes. Sometimes it'll take 20 resets, other times it'll take 2. You know.
So are you planning to play through this game the whole way, or
I don't know. I'm in the middle of playing Moon again. I'm in the middle of playing Black and White, and I'm also in the middle of this now. So I'm kind of like just down. It's one of those ones that I just sort of like play for a little while and then come off it again.
Fair enough.
So,
is this because of all our Pokepasture talks and stuff?
I mean, yeah, I'm super Pokemoned up right now. Like I really badly want to play Scarlet and Violet. Like,
right.
Even though we don't know what the final evolutions of the starters look like. There's a lot of leaks and a lot of like rumors about it at the minute, and I'm just like trying to keep up on all that info. So I'm just like, I feel like Pokemon hasn't stopped for me since like September last year. Like it's almost been this September. Like, but by the time the new game comes out, it'll be over a year of constant Pokemon, just like Pokemon news, Pokemon playing. Which I think is the first time that's happened since like Fire Red and Leaf Green. Right. I haven't played that consistently of Pokemon in a long time, so just something to be excited about, you know. Absolutely. I'm just glad. I feel like it's something like I can fall back on. Like if for some reason I stopped playing Elden Ring and there wasn't anything in the meantime, and then again like after Tiny Tina or whatever it might be, at least I'll have that to fall back on. So, and you can put as many hours into that as you want, so it's all good.
Before we move on to the news, Jay, just a very quick interlude from me. So I can't remember if I think I spoke about this on the podcast, but I bought Far Cry 4 and Primal on offer for like 17 quid for both as some podcast games, right? And basically after 10 hours or so, I was really getting into Far Cry 4. I was like, I'm enjoying this. Like it's doing the job. I'm enjoying the missions, the hunting, blah, 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 right? That's the one in Tibet.
Yep. Okay.
And so Jay, I think it came out 17? I think it's 2014 or something.
Wow,
like
even
that.
earlier? Jesus.
Oh yeah, dude, like really early, like really crazy early. Yeah. And basically, Jay, I have hit a borderline game breaking bug.
Oh, much like how I did with Far Cry 5.
Right.
I'm not joking. I probably played about 15 hours of Far Cry 5 to get to one point. The game broke. I started from the beginning, played another 15, got to the same point, and the game broke again. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. That was a waste.
Wow.
Yep. I was like, no, massive waste.
So basically what happened was I did a race, I came out of it, and then it said I had no grenades, no molotovs, no bait, and no blah blah. So I went to the shop, bought it. Like an hour later, it's broke. I look online, genuine issue. People are still having it, right? And after you just said that, Jay, I wanted to bring this up because that is fucking unacceptable. I'm sorry, that is so unacceptable. Like, if you go to the movie theater, does the projector just turn off halfway through? Unacceptable.
It's kind of
Absolutely
like
unacceptable.
it's weird. I feel like Far Cry's should have been like it's almost like as soon as a Far Cry comes out, they're right onto the next one production wise, and they just
Right.
completely stop supporting the last one. They don't fix anything, which is odd because
They
they
have enough
fix
time to make
ACs.
DLC, you know. Go
Yeah,
on, sorry.
exactly. Like I feel like the AC games they fix right because we had the achievement issues
Absolutely.
like that. I
Yeah.
feel like Far Cry is almost like a money maker for them.
Well, I feel like casual players play Far Cry, and they don't have hardcore players like the AC fans like me and you.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
so.
who do you know like online who's like, yeah, I love every Far Cry? Like, no one.
No, there
But
isn't
we have
anybody.
AC fans, you know.
Yeah, Far Cry to me almost feels just like that sort of like I think Far Cry funds the rest of their games
I
that
know what
come
you
out.
mean.
That's kind of
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
kind of that and Rainbow Six I imagine funds most of what they make.
And AC's a big seller.
Yeah, I feel like they probably recycle that money back into AC though. A lot of it.
I know what you mean. Those DLCs are so big. Well, apart from that recent one, they are really big
It's
usually.
honestly hard to say, but you know.
Yeah, so I was really disappointed, Jay. So I just uninstalled it because I thought, nah, no
Yeah.
way. I have got my money's worth, hour wise. So then,
That's good
Jay,
at
I
least.
jumped into Primal, which to be
Yeah,
fair
I
has
saw that.
always piqued my interest because like
Yeah,
it's different, right? Um, and played it for 2 hours, found it really boring, and uninstalled it. So there
yeah,
we are.
yeah. I could have told you this and saved you the time and the money, but I don't know.
Well,
Far Cry is just like
sometimes, Jay,
Far Cry's
you know,
dead to me at this point.
I'm
It's
probably on that
wronged me
train with
way
you
too
now.
many times. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up there. You know, it's in the basket of games that I will never come back to.
Jay, I
Ever.
got to tell you as well. So I looked at my friends list at who has put hours into Far Cry Primal,
Oh.
and there were some people on there who have put like 100 hours into Far Cry Primal, and I was like, how can you possibly find this that engaging compared to like other games? Do you know what I
I
mean?
can't remember if there was some sort of like multiplayer aspect to the Far Cry games.
I
So
think
I
there was for
know,
four. I'm not sure about Primal. Oh,
yeah,
actually, well, four's co-op. Primal might be co-op. I don't know.
because I think in 5 they had like an arcade machine you could walk up to and you could do like co-op and multiplayer.
Right.
But I'm not sure if they had that in Primal as well in some capacity. I'm not sure. So that may be. I
I
mean, it
don't
might
know,
be a
mate.
co-op thing. I don't know. Yeah, I can't imagine myself putting that many hours into it. That's a lot.
Mental, mate.
But
But
yeah.
yeah, it sold really well. They do so well. But anyway, I did want to. We needed to raise this, Jay, because
I feel like Far
not
Cry is one of those
acceptable.
games that should just die, but it won't because it sells. Like it shouldn't be allowed to be made anymore.
Some people might say that about AC, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but one of them's quality and one of them's not. You know, well, a bit more quality than the other. I
I
guess.
feel you, dude. I feel you. All right, Jay, can you please take us to the news?
Okay. Well,
Guys, a lot of the news this week really is me finding out about how Jay feels about lots of things. So,
yeah, that's where we're at.
first up, Ghostwire Tokyo previews are out. People have played the first 2 chapters, first few hours. I've checked it out. I want to hear Jay's thoughts because this to me
I'm
looks like
so
a
glad
Jay
you.
ass
Oh
game.
yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. So I saw the trailer for this. I think at E3 or whenever it got shown before previously last year, and thought, ah, it looks a bit naff. Like just whatever, like another one of these type games. And then I probably saw like the first bit of gameplay maybe last week, and I was like, oh, this game I actually like might have to pay attention to at some point. I've tried to keep myself out of the loop as much as possible. Again, I think it'll be one of those games that I won't buy day one, but I definitely will keep an eye on. And as soon as it's on sale, I'll think about it. 100%.
Okay.
Because I don't know how well this game's gonna do, and I feel like you can tell if a game's going to come down in price quickly, depending on how well it's seemingly doing. Right? Isn't this a PlayStation exclusive as well?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely need to look more into it. I've got a couple of videos saved on my watch later on YouTube where I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of want to see um, what the actual like idea of the game is. Kind of like I have a
Mm.
very minimal amount of information about what the game is. I mean, anything Japanese I'm gonna love, so
Mm.
it's whatever, you know. It does. It's a good mixture of like it's got that very like Japanese sort of gruesome kind of aspect to it, like very like demon y, but more like modern day demon type stuff. So yeah, no, I'm intrigued. I definitely I didn't think it would be on my radar, but it is. It's happened twice now. There's been a couple of games where I'm like, this game is not on my radar at all, and then all of a sudden I'm like, all the good gameplay comes out, and I'm like, why haven't I been paying attention to this game? I don't understand. Like I should have been paying attention a while ago. So I feel like that happens every year though, and then I just spend all my money on games I never enjoy. So I'm trying to be careful about spending money at the minute, you know. So
You are, and you're
yeah,
doing a good
I
job.
I need to wait and see. I reckon this might even be a Christmas game, depending on when it comes out on sale. You know.
Oh, nice, nice. Just a quick business perspective on this, Jay. I wonder whether Xbox think they've sort of scraped a bullet in terms of Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, both PlayStation exclusives, right? Now
Mm,
they own Bethesda now, which is Arcane and Tango Gameworks, respectively, which made both those games, right?
yeah.
But I feel like Xbox have missed a bullet there because neither of them are really like, you know, your Horizons, your God of Wars, your Last of Us, like your 10 out of 10s, right? And I think and they're exclusive, and I feel like these are the first PlayStation exclusives we had in some time that are knock out the parks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
alright.
That
um,
that was it really.
I'm trying to like think. So you're saying these games are good or aren't good?
No, I'm just saying they're not incredible by the looks of
Well, I
things.
mean, we don't know. They're technically not out yet, right? Well, Ghostwire isn't. Is it out? That's not out yet, no.
Don't think so. No,
And then
Deathloop's out.
Deathloop, right? Okay, yeah. So Deathloop got given high grades,
Yeah,
but nobody talks about it
but,
anymore, and it's been half price for the last like 2 months.
yeah, no,
So it's
yeah,
kind of like, is it? Yeah, obviously it wasn't that good, right?
yeah.
I don't know, hard to say. So what you're saying is that Xbox are happy that they didn't have those games come out on their console. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I was thinking more maybe they might be grateful behind the scenes because they're not 10 out of 10 games that will make people buy more
Oh, I
PlayStations. If that make
see. I see what you
that's what I
mean.
mean.
Okay, okay.
I
Understood.
wouldn't be that harsh. This, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I don't see people buying a PlayStation just for either of those games. Yeah, I can see what you mean. That's actually
Next up,
that brings
Jay.
up a really
Oh,
good point. I'm gonna have to have that as a topic at some point about games that are capable of making you buy the console that they're on as an exclusive for. There might be something to talk about in the future. I'll come back to that.
and next reaction is Jay. Oh, by the way, if anyone is interested, I literally couldn't be less interested in Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, really?
Stranger of
Oh,
Power.
okay.
Yeah, dear. It's just not hitting for me. You know
Something's
what I
clicking
mean?
for me. Something I watched that and thought, oh, my brain is like,
Nice,
that feels good.
nice. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, Jay. Where are you at with this game? Obviously,
This was the other game.
you're playing Elden Ring at the moment, so I'm intrigued to see where you are with your thoughts on this game.
I downloaded the demo for this game and I played it. I actually haven't finished the demo.
Dude, is it PlayStation exclusive as well?
No,
Okay, okay.
no, thank God. Um, I almost bought this game a couple times, and I don't know why, because I reckon the game isn't worth the price. Again, the game isn't worth the price point. I think I think it's currently 60 for base. So I think once the game comes to around 30, I'll probably buy it then. And I might not even think about it then, just because I know that it might not be that. Yeah, I think so. I think the game's about 30 hours long, so 30 quid sounds about right to me.
Yeah, so the game's out, right, and it's got
Yeah.
pretty good reviews
Well, actually,
from
it's out
gamers and critics alike.
tomorrow,
Is it?
but it's in early access. If you pre-order the game, you get it play it 3 days early. So it's technically been out since the 15th.
Oh, that's what I got confused about that. Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
probably why you've
Got
seen
you.
people playing it. It's because it's technically been out since the 15th if you pre-ordered the game.
Right. Okay.
Which is
So
why I
so you're
almost bought
going.
it. I was like, oh, I want to play it right now, but I'm playing Elden Ring and doing other stuff. So.
So it's only, is it 25 to 30 hours, even though it is that difficult of a game, sort of thing?
I don't necessarily think it's that difficult. I think you can make it
I thought it's a
easy.
Souls like.
Well,
No.
it's a more of a Neo game. You know Neo,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nioh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
Neo game, but with difficulty settings, so you can play it on easy or play it on hard. It's up to you.
Oh.
There is difficulty to it, yeah.
Oh.
And depending
That
on
kind of
what
makes me want to
difficulty you
play
play it
it.
on, yeah, I know, me too. And depending on what difficulty you play it on, you get better loot or the chance of better loot. So if you play it on hard, you're going to get almost guaranteed like the better loot. But if you play it on easy, it's a lot harder for you to get
So
the
like
good
a
thing.
so like a mayhem. Oh, sorry. Like a
Yeah, it's
mayhem.
basically like a mayhem type thing, yeah.
Right.
But
Oh, interesting.
playing it on hard is basically just like playing a Souls game, so you might as well play it on hard straight away. Because you're
Are we
guaranteed good
seeing
loot, and you're basically playing a Souls game.
right? And you get more bang for your buck, I suppose, in terms of
Exactly.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
I
makes
reckon
sense.
if I did get it, I'd probably play it on hard straight away.
Okay.
I'd try to.
Jay, do you think there'll be any impact on wider Final Fantasy lore from this
Yeah.
game?
So apparently
Or
this game is the game is actually set in the city that was in Final Fantasy One, which
wow.
is Cornelia. Um, so this game basically has references to like most other Final Fantasy games. So there's a Final Fantasy 7 reference apparently. There's like a 13 reference. Like this game is basically just an amalgamation of Final Fantasy references in like a Neo slash Souls game. So and also
Okay.
apparently this there's supposed to be something that happens at the end that is supposed to tie other Final Fantasy games to it. So it's supposed to be actually fairly important story wise. So that actually again gives me another incentive to want to play it because if it's like fairly integral to the story, then I actually might want to experience it. So, but like I say, I tell you what, if it wasn't for Tiny Tina coming out, I'd be playing already.
Fair play.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, 100%. I might get it after
Speaking
Tiny Tina. I
of
don't know.
speaking of TTW,
Yes.
that's the new acronym we're going to use
Is that
for
what you're
it.
going for? I'm still trying to figure out what I want to call Scarlet and Violet. Like, what do I want to call it? PSV? I'm not sure. PSV
That
sounds
sounds
good
good
to
to
me.
me.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
PSV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PSV sounds good. It's like PSP
Not
but with a V instead.
yeah, but not quite as cool as BDSP.
Yeah,
It
I don't
hasn't got
know.
quite a punch. PSV is
It's still
cool
got
though.
the P on the end, like it's got the p kind of sound, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
for sure, for
TTW
sure.
sounds pretty cool too, so I like that.
Oh, by the way, Jay, I'm quietly confident I'll be
Uh
able to get Tiny Tina day one.
oh. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's good. That's good.
I think I had the money come out of my account yesterday
Oh, I thought
for
it
my
just comes out as soon as
pre-order.
you pre-order it,
No, I think they actually wait until like a week before the game comes out.
and you got it on Xbox, right?
Yes.
Not that it matters, because it's full
Yeah, see,
crossplay,
this annoys me
baby.
because like I really wish that I'm glad it is, but it's kind of like why wasn't Borderlands 3 full crossplay? You know,
Did it never come, Jay? Did we never get it?
I don't think so.
I'm looking it up now. But basically, Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox Entertainment, I think, or Gearbox. They did a relabel recently. But yeah, basically, he tweeted saying it's full crossplay with PS4, PS5,
Thank
Xbox
God.
One, Xbox Series, and PC, which is
Yeah,
crazy,
that is
Jay.
insane. I think that is going to open the floodgates. Basically, like people are going to be probably a lot more incentivized to do co-op and online co-op and stuff. It kind of
Yeah,
tells
dude.
me that maybe there actually might be. I think because they've got all this sort of like dungeon type thing at the end of the game, like the end game loop is very Destiny like. This game has almost become like a game live service game, you know. Like the end game is basically turned into Destiny to a degree, so they actually are incentivizing you to want to play with other people, which is a good thing, I think.
Jay, funnily enough,
Mm-hmm.
there is a news story from Eurogamer, which was yesterday, saying apparently Borderlands 3 crossplay coming to PS4 and PS5 in the future. How weird is that?
I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've kind of gone off Borderlands 3 now. Anyway. Like after a certain amount
Well,
of time, it
you're
just
in
sort
Tiny
of
Tina. You're in Tiny Tina world now, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm still a bit disappointed
I
about
mean, that is
um,
Borderlands, right? That is strand of Borderlands, right? No, yes.
what Tiny
It's a
Tina.
first person. Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like we're getting
as
there.
in we're past three,
We're
right?
past
We're
three at
past
this
three.
point, I think. Yeah, it's been 3 years? Came out was 2019.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
yeah.
long enough. That's long enough.
Are you okay if we move on, Jay?
Yeah. Where are we going?
I'm gonna swap the news stories around quickly, Jay. Elden Ring has sold
Yeah.
12 million units worldwide so far, which
Yeah.
is extraordinary, Jay. So I'll set up a quick context for this before you go into it, right?
Okay.
I do feel that this is the reward of building blocks beginning in Demon Souls, and now it very much does feel like the peak of From Software for me,
Oh yeah,
as
we've
someone who
definitely
doesn't play
hit.
any of the
I
games.
think we've hit the crescendo. Is that the right one?
Yeah, I think so.
The crescendo might be the end.
So what?
Maybe not.
I know, Jay, I know you're like all seeing, all knowing. You'll be like, yeah, of course, I sold 12 million units. But what are
Yes,
your
of course it did.
thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? This is a lot of games, Jay. This is a lot of units sold. This is a lot. I mean, we're talking like Spider-Man numbers here.
I
You
mean,
know what I
I
mean?
don't think a lot of people know that like Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, I think sold less than 50,000 copies each
On launch, right?
on launch, which is
These are
like
terrible games.
even
No,
for then, yeah, funny. Even for then, like wasn't that good. Like 50,000 was fine, but like that's not a
wasn't
lot,
great.
right?
No, no, no.
And then about 2 or 3 years later, after Dark Souls 1, it just sort of like blew up. People found out this game existed and were like, why haven't we been playing this for the last 2 or 3 years? And I think since then has obviously been the rise of Dark Souls and FromSoft. But yeah, this is very well deserved. I think they've sort of fine tuned the formula to sort of like get to where they are now. And it is a hunt. I mean, I can't wait for the next FromSoft game, honestly. But it's going to be a little while till we get that. But honestly, if we didn't get one for another 4 or 5 years, I'd be fine with that. I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. Because I think
I
four or
think that
5 years from now, people are still going to be finding stuff in Elden Ring that they didn't know was there. So
I think they know what they're doing, and I think they know that not producing a game every 2 years can be a valuable
yeah, they
commodity. You
know
know,
that time, taking your time with something, can really mean the difference between something being like good and like the best it could possibly be.
agreed. Jay, I wondered what the financial success, true financial success, extraordinary financial success would mean for From Software. Whether it would change their course in terms of do they separate into two teams? You know, I I do wonder about that. If they seem incorruptible, but one
Good way to
does
put it.
wonder, you know, do they separate into? And by that, I don't actually mean corrupt. What I mean is usually when a studio hits real peaks, you know, they'll either separate into two teams or they'll don't know, do DLC or something, or you know, they'll just change it up maybe, right? But yeah, I just wanted to know what you think. Do you think FromSoft are just going to stay as FromSoft and they will continue to make these types of games for as long as they can, basically?
You make a good point, and there's actually a fairly good segue into what I imagine we'll be talking about shortly. But FromSoft are very the way that the company is run is very like um, most of the creative decisions are made by one person, much like Death Stranding,
Hideo Kojima.
Kojima, yeah. Like there's like the one guy is like the guy who makes most of the creative decisions, and then he tells everyone to sort of like make the game how he wants it to be made. I feel like whether it's like a very Japanese thing or just like a strategy that is used, but I feel like it's done them justice, and so it's kind of like a situation of if it isn't broke, don't fix it type thing. So I can't imagine they'll want to change much about how they're doing things. I think the Japanese are good at realizing that they don't need to change anything or sort of like sell out, I guess is like another way of putting it, and like making any sort of drastic changes to the formula to then have to make it, and like they don't necessarily need like progress or like diversity in how they do things. It's more of just like sticking to tradition and formula and keeping it the same and mastering one thing until it's the best, and then that's just how it's done. And I feel like there's a lot of other companies that are like trying to do that and probably failing just because they're not doing it right. But yeah, I can't imagine. I think Game Freak is the only other company who've like split into Japanese company who I can think of who, since they've gained more popularity, have like split. And I think for the better in that case, because then they can make more. I don't know if it's for the better actually. We'll soon know, because if Pokemon PSP is any good, then it'll be for the better.
Right.
Because Arceus was amazing, so we know that at least one half of the equation is good, of the splitting of the company, you know. But yeah, I can't imagine FromSoft wanting to split unless they wanted to make a not as good of a game. That's probably about. I mean, that's like kind of where I'm at. But I mean, it just depends on how much they can get done in a certain amount of time. Whether they split into two teams and spend the same amount of time they would do as one team on one game, I'm not sure. Like 5 years on one thing and two teams, I'm not sure.
Yeah. You make an interesting point, Jay, that the Japanese creators seem to have an remarkable amount of focus. So, for instance, despite all the success Final Fantasy has seen, they're still able to focus and produce, you know, FF15 and 13 and 14, and it's almost like, in a way, they're not fazed by the success at all, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, there's almost like this sort of like Hollywood type thing when it comes to the game industry, where if you're constantly in the limelight as like a game developer, your game is sort of scrutinized more because people are always wanting to pick at it. Whereas if you're like outside of that bubble of a developer, you're just sort of like, you can just sort of do your own thing and like be left to your own devices, and your game can just do well on its own. You know, there's no need to like for it to be picked at too much, which is what I feel like FromSoft. Like I'd say they've only recently got into the mainstream, and that just being that it's now more of a global sense, like it's more globally known. Like people now know.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people now know what From Software are, whereas like even when Sekiro came out, not a lot of people knew what FromSoft was. I feel like it's only
not as
recently.
Many for sure. Yeah.
I feel like it's only like since Sekiro.
Speedrunning is a huge part of that, I would say.
Yeah, I think there's just because of the way the internet is, there's a lot more people who have access to that kind of information, and that can lead to. This is almost a little bit. This is a good comparison. Like, you know how like your favorite band get more known and they start to make terrible music. It's kind of like that. Like, you know, you don't want your band to be known because they're going to get the fame, they're going to get the money, and then they're not going to have that creative constraint where they have less of a budget, meaning they need to spend it more wisely, versus like having too much of a budget and then spending it willy-nilly and it being terrible. Much like a lot of movies are being made similarly. Like that you need to have that constraint for like artistic integrity and like amazing ideas to be able to flow into a more channeled area rather than a really widespread big budget type thing. It's kind of like, throw money at it and it'll fix it. Now, money doesn't always fix things like that. If anything, money tends to make a lot of creative processes worse.
Absolutely, and
you have to find the balance
again, right?
You have to find the balance.
It's interesting because Kojima is actually against that. Not against what I mean is Kojima basically had a blank check and he managed to produce a game in a fairly short period of time for him, which is great. But you look at Kanye, for instance, the more freedom he has, the less sort of music he makes or whatever. You look at I had another example in my head. Goodness gracious me. Well, you look at Tool, for instance, right? They have 4 amazing albums or whatever it is, or 3, and then they have a 15-year break from albums because they've reached success, they have money, and then now they can't put anything out, or they couldn't put anything out because they were so scared it would tarnish the lineage, right? And all this stuff. And I totally get what you mean, right? Like sometimes a blank check is the worst thing you can do, sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel like people, the best creative, artistic things that are made are from people who have no money and just have to make it good, because if they don't, they're gonna be broke their entire lives. Like it's like it's more out of like desperation stroke necessity. Like if
But
something's
From
made out of
Software in
necessity, it's kind of like it becomes amazing.
but From Software now
Sometimes.
in the situation where
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot more
they
money to
might,
play with. A lot
yeah,
more.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually curious whether how well Sekiro and Dark Souls 3 sold.
While you look that up, Jay, I'll just
Yeah.
set up the next story. Um, so while Jay looks that up, guys, we have a really big story that me and Jay I really want to discuss with Jay. So it comes from. Go on, Jay. What's the sales figures?
Elden Ring has outsold Sekiro already by a
Wow.
lot.
Right. Okay.
Sekiro has only sold 5 million copies as of
Only.
last year.
That is crazy.
So that's how much bigger Elden Ring is, and like FromSoft are now compared to how they were 3 years ago.
Fair play. Fair play.
Holy crap! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Over double.
That's
Yeah. So they must
insane.
be pretty shocked themselves then, I
So
imagine.
this is like this is like this is the decider now, whether FromSoft are going to become something the villain, like they're going to be around long enough to see themselves become the villain, or just stay the
Right.
hero and be quiet. You know.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
this next story, Jay, comes from VGC,
Mm.
from Andy Robinson. So I sent Jay this story. Jay, did you manage to take a look at
I
it at
did. The
all?
moment you sent it to me, I was on my break and I read it then and there.
Oh, sick. All right. So, basically, it's a report about the Initiative, which is the studio that Xbox created
Mm.
to basically what we later found out is to reboot the Perfect Dark series, right? So I think they wanted another big AAA studio. Oh no. Oh, you still there, Jay? I thought I lost you.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. They basically created a big AAA studio to help, but to produce more AAA games, right? So, we found out it was Perfect Dark, maybe last year or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
they teased it at
and
E3, I think.
yeah, I think it might have been the Game Awards,
Or
mate.
the game.
Uh,
No, that would have been too soon. That was fairly recently in the Game
anyway,
Awards. Yeah, continue.
anyway, um, and long and short of it is, I've got a lot to say about this, and I'm sure Jay has too. The
Yeah.
long and short of it is, it does look like quite a few senior members of the team have left in the last year or so.
Yeah, a lot of people have left.
Now that's not to say it's necessarily in a poor state. We don't know. I haven't worked on a video game my entire life. However, we do know that they brought in Crystal Dynamics of Tomb Raider and Avengers fame, to help with the production of the game.
Yeah, that
My
worries me.
original my original thought was that they were
Uh
building a dev
oh.
team from the ground up and basically just creating the game. But
Yeah.
then when they brought Crystal Dynamics in, it was a bit more like, oh no, we've basically got 50 core team members of the core team to deliver the direction, and then basically loads of other people to help out actually execute on it, right? Which was a bit weird. Now we have this story of people like the game director leaving, like the design director leaving, and a lot of more people who have really good pedigree from previous games, frankly. God of War developers, that's 2018 God of War.
Mm.
Coalition developers, which by the way, like you wonder whether that's even a hire because the Coalition's owned by Xbox. But anyway, Insomniac, Riot Games. So, Jay, before I go to you, if it's okay,
Yeah.
my thoughts on this. The more I see, the more I think, oh my god, Xbox can't manage their studios. Okay,
Yeah, see,
like
we didn't hear about any of this stuff when it came to like Insomniac or like PlayStation Studios. They just kept quiet and just made games.
right,
Which is kind of what I mean when I can refer back to the whole like Japanese PlayStation, Sony. They're just doing their own thing. They're not in that Hollywood bubble, but Xbox seems to be in that Hollywood bubble where they're constantly looked at with a microscope, and it's kind of like,
yeah,
like all the little details are now out there in the public, and it just makes you go, oh, we probably shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be hearing about this. It feels icky. It feels like a whole sort of
100%,
like almost like a paparazzi type thing. It's kind of like I shouldn't be seeing this. This is like an
yeah,
invasion of privacy a little bit, you know.
100%, and oh, Jay, like So I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant, right? But
Please.
I know that we've got E3 coming up, and I'm very excited
Oh yeah,
to
July.
watch it. You know, to June, babe, June.
June? I thought it was always in July. I
June.
thought it was like July
No,
13th or something.
now June. Like I think it's June 13th.
All right.
Anyway, I don't know the exact date.
Sure.
But I'm excited. I'm excited for E3, right? I'm sure we'll watch some conferences and we'll talk loads about stuff, right? But
Yes.
but Jay, I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, okay, Xbox, I think you give them creative freedom. I'm wondering whether you give them too much creative freedom, because I'm starting to genuinely get a little bit frustrated that you're not giving me any games. Okay, where's Fable?
Yeah, I was
Where's
about to say the same
Forza
thing.
Motorsport? Where's this Perfect Dark game?
I'm not worried about Motorsport.
Where's Hellblade 2? Where are
Oh, Hellblade
any of
2 is
these?
coming. That's Ninja Theory, isn't it? Or
It is coming, Jay, but I'm like,
yeah,
when is it coming? You know what I mean? Hellblade 1 came out
think next
2017.
year. I think
You know what I
next
mean?
year. Yeah, that's a
Where
tough
are
one.
the where are they when are they coming, guys? Can you please just start delivering on some cracking games, please?
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
like
getting a bit
Xbox are a
desperate,
bit
Jay.
behind, aren't they? Like PlayStation is still killing it when it comes to their like in-house stuff.
Killing it, Jay. Killing it.
Yeah, I feel like Xbox have sort of reverted back to their old ways of like, oh, they're not really making anything any good then. Okay. Let's go look at what PlayStation are doing, I guess.
Well, look, Jay, if you look at the history of Xbox, right? Original Xbox and 360 had some absolutely cracking,
Yeah.
incredible exclusives, right? And then ever since then, we just haven't really. Like we just haven't. So, what are your thoughts on this story, Jay? Do you think Perfect Dark's in trouble? Jay, look, I'm not being funny. I said this from the get go. Why are you remaking Perfect Dark? You're
Yeah,
talking
don't need
about
to.
global eco bioterrorism. What are you talking
Nobody's
about?
going to play it.
Dude, this does not
The
sound like a good
majority of
idea.
people, there's like a lot of, there's obviously going to be an influx of a lot of young people coming into this new generation of consoles, and I could guarantee you that potentially only 10 of them know what Perfect Dark even is.
Right, not even.
Like I only barely know what it is,
Me too.
and I'm 26. It's kind of like, okay, like I couldn't give a rat's ass about Perfect Dark.
I know, me too.
Like who cares? Like the only people who care about Perfect Dark is probably like a very minuscule amount of people, and even then people are like, I mean, I don't really need it. Like there seems to be a bit of a trend in like a lot of entertainment, like content, movie makers, filmmakers, like game makers. They seem to be their target audience tends to be about 10,000 people, and that's it. It's kind of like, who are these people? Why are they so loud? Why are they
Right.
screaming to have this thing made, and then the thing just flops because only 10,000 people wanted it? It's kind of like
The Last
they're obviously
Guardian, for instance,
they're
yeah.
not doing enough like market research, obviously. Like,
I mean,
obviously, I'll eat my words if this game sells well, but I'm not gonna buy it. I don't think. Like,
yeah. Well, it'll be on
let's
Game
not take
Pass,
them.
right? It'll be on Game Pass.
Oh
I
yeah,
assume.
yeah. Even then, I probably won't even touch it. Like Perfect, I know what Perfect Dark is. It's not that interesting to me.
What are your
I
thoughts
just don't
on this
get it.
on this story, Jay?
Yeah. So this screams to me the same development that Dying Light 2 had.
Okay.
Everybody left. The morale just tanked.
Is that
they
what happened in
hired
Dying
new.
Light 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dying Light 2 was supposed to come out 2020.
Okay.
And then it got delayed 2 years because of all this stuff that happened. Similarly, what's happening to Perfect Dark right now,
Yeah.
in that basically all the most important decision makers left, and they had to like scramble to bring in whoever they could to finish it. Like I even think that when the day the game was supposed to come out, Dying Light 2, the game didn't even have like a cohesive story. Like everything was written out, but it wasn't in the right order. Like they didn't know what they were going to do. Like they just sort of like puzzled pieces together and hoped it worked. I guess it worked a little bit. I'm just trying to like. I guess the game will still be good, but it won't be coming out anytime soon.
Oh God, Jay, we'll be lucky if this game comes out 2025. Like
2024, like earliest.
You know,
and late 2024 earliest.
I'm getting Jay. I'm getting sick of this
I can almost
discussion, bro.
imagine that we'll see a thing where release date September 2024, and then it'll get delayed until like February the next year.
Yeah,
We'll
agreed.
check that. We'll check back on that. That's my prediction. That's my prediction.
I don't want to go on a tangent about Starfield, Jay, but more and more as
Ooh, I'm
time
glad
goes
you
on,
brought this
I'm
up.
putting more faith in Starfield because I'm like, I love Bethesda games, as you know.
Yeah.
And when's the last time we had just an absolutely cracking exclusive? You know what I mean? And it's Game Pass, which is mental.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
actually a developer diary series that I think IGN are doing with Starfield. There's like a new one that
Yeah.
just came out. I need to watch that.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not think too much about Starfield because I don't want to get too hyped up over it. I don't.
Sure.
I'm not confident in it yet.
Oh, me neither, dude.
I
Me
feel like
neither.
I'm struggling to get confident in any game at the minute. The only game I'm actually confident in this year, like genuinely confident, is the new Pokemon game. I'm not actually that
Wow.
confident in Tiny Tina. I'm actually a little bit worried that it's not going to be that good.
No, I think Tiny Tina is gonna be good.
No, I'm worried. I've spent the money already, but I'm worried.
What from the gameplay video you saw?
I don't know. I just feel like until I actually have it, I just don't want to get too. I don't want to get my hopes up. I want to go into it super low expectations, so that
I get you.
if I like it even only a middle amount, it'll seem higher because I went into it lower. Like this
I
will
know.
just sort of become this rather than this becoming this. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
need to elevate rather than the other way.
But we both agree on this story though, right? Like,
Yeah, no, it's just
not
kind of
great.
like. I mean, nobody really cares. Like, it just feels really icky. It feels like I don't need to know any of this stuff. You know, if anything, like people say that bad press, like any press is good press, but to me, this just makes it feel like this gives me the opposite effect of like don't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Like, who
Right,
cares?
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
like I genuinely don't know who this game is for. Like I remember people like them sort of like screaming about it, being like, "Oh wow," but then like the audience was kind of like quiet. It was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know, who cares?" Like, nobody cares about this. Like how I'd much
Dude, they
rather
would
they be
have more
spending the
excitement about.
time on
Go on,
like
sorry.
either like a new IP or like a really cool new IP or just something else.
Dude, that's literally what I was about to say.
It's
There
such
would
a
be more
waste of
excitement
time.
over new IP than this game.
Waste of time,
Like,
waste of money. Just make it cool. Like I feel like the best thing you can do for games nowadays is just to come out with a new IP that looks awesome. Because at least there's going to be some interest. You need a foot
Jay,
in the door.
who could possibly make interesting new IPs though? It's not like we got Horizon last generation on PlayStation or Ghost of Tsushima or Days Gone, which are all new IP
Oh,
for
by the way, all
PlayStation.
PlayStation. Oh god, I feel like
Oh
Xbox are
dear.
trying there. They're trying their hardest,
I
aren't
agree.
they?
I agree. I agree.
You know, I'm still waiting on this vampire thing, or not vampire thing. Was it
The
that
Redfall.
red? Yeah, the Redfall thing. Is that what it was called?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm intrigued, but again, the thing is, because it was a new IP and because it looked cool, it made me go, "Oh, I actually might want to try that." Until I see gameplay, I'm excited about it, you know. But this Perfect Dark thing just made me go, "I don't care." Like this, obviously, this is just my opinion, but I can imagine there aren't many people who feel differently. Like
Agreed.
there's no one's talking like until this story came up, nobody was talking about it. Like it just died in the water, if you ask me. But I'm gonna have to look into it. I might just check Twitter to see if there's like some like hype about it. But even
Sure.
before this, you know.
Jay, I've got a question slash debate for next week that I'd
Okay,
like for us to prep.
sure.
Will Xbox Game Studios produce multiple world-class exclusives this generation? This
I feel like
generation.
if they don't, then what is the point? You know, what like just shut it down. Don't
Shut
even
it
bother. Don't
down.
even bother. You know,
Jay,
make
would
something
you like to
good,
take
please.
yes or no for this?
Oh, what that they will or they won't?
Yeah, correct. Do you want to take the they will or they won't?
This is tough because it's not necessarily a question of will they won't they. It's more of a question of um. I guess it is. I don't know. It's hard, right? Because I want them to, but I don't know if they will. I feel like I'm more of an optimist when it comes to gaming stuff. I don't know. We might have to discuss that off pod.
All right.
We'll come back to that.
No dramas, no dramas. Jay, can you take us to your topic page, please? That's the end of the news, guys. We're in the home stretch now, believe it or not.
Okay.
That's not to say Jay hasn't got a lot to say about
I
his
don't
topic
know.
for this week,
We'll see.
which is
I can't remember. Is it Elden Ring?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. I actually made some pretty big progress last night. I think I went from.
Okay, so very quickly, Jay. Jay's been playing Elden Ring.
I have. I'm about 20 hours in.
I thought it'd be more than that, actually.
No, I mean technically I've only been able to play roughly 2 or 3 hours a night, right?
Right.
And I've been playing it since last Tuesday.
So you didn't start it after you finished Ragnarok? Like, start it again, I mean.
Oh, that's a
on
lie.
Sunday.
So yeah, I did. Yeah, I played it again Sunday afternoon. So yeah, I haven't played it a lot. That's the thing.
Are you hoping to complete it before Tiny Tina?
No.
You haven't got an objective to do it.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't plan to. I'd plan to just get as far as I possibly want to or can.
Yeah.
Sure, I was. Actually, I've played technically more than 20. I've played about 35 hours. No, 30 hours. So I've put 10 hours into a different character. I started a melee character. I'm currently still my mage character. Yeah, I had a tough night last night with Elden Ring. So
okay.
There's I think there's 107 bosses in this game.
What?
Unique bosses too, right? This is the game with the most bosses in it. The From Software game with the most bosses. That's how big the game is. I know it's massive. And I think you only have to defeat about 10 or 11 for the main story. Okay. Well, technically, I think there's 10 main bosses, but you have to kill like a few mini bosses in between that to be able to get to the next.
Can we keep it light on spoilers if that's alright, by the way?
Yeah, I won't say like names or places or anything. I'll just say numbers and stuff. I'm technically about halfway through.
Okay.
Main boss wise, just because I sort of I think I actually killed I think maybe 2 of the main bosses in the first 10 hours, and then the 2 or 3 main bosses last night. I did them all in a row. Because From Software games are one of those games where you can probably get through the game super quick, but depending on if you've managed to over level, you can sort of just run through a big portion of the game super quickly. So what kind of happened was I got to a point where I was like, right, I'll just over level massively, and then I'll just run through 2 or 3 bosses. So that's kind of what I did. But I actually got stuck on an in-between boss, and that really I'm not joking. The classic thing happened of where I got the life bar down to 1 hit, and then he killed me. And I was
oh my God.
And then I spent another 55 minutes trying to get him down to dead again, and I took an hour. It took me to go from almost killing him to actually killing him. And I was like, oh, I could have saved. I wasted an hour just because I didn't get that last hit in, you know. But the thing is that ruined my night, that hour, and then the hour after that was me again killing 2 main bosses, but so quickly because I'm just massively overpowered. I think a lot of it is also to do with the type of build you have, because I'm a magic build. I don't really have any sort of melee prowess, so if I run out of magic, that's it. I kind of just have to hope and pray that any amount of melee damage that I do is enough to finish them off. Because there's some bosses where you can literally just 2 or 3 spells and they're dead. But there's other bosses where 2 or 3 spells is not even a tiny bit of their health, and you've got to really think, you've got to strategize a bit more about what you're going to do. And I got very, very lucky last night, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, I'll go into more detail about the actual game overall.
Sure. Do you want me to ask questions? Sorry, or
yeah, you could do. I'll just do a quick thing. I'll do a quick little thing. I'll start. So the game is very pretty. I haven't really noticed as much of the stuttering as I think I did last week. They actually patched the game today. I haven't tested it yet, but there's like a bunch of like there's a speedrunner who got the game down to under half an hour.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, Distortion 2, I think his name is. And a lot of the strategies that he used, I think they've now patched out.
Really.
So I don't think he'll be able to go anything less than what he's already got, unfortunately. Either that or they have to come up with a different strategy to get close to what they got to before. I'm trying to think, man. Oh right, yeah. So when I first like saw Elden Ring, I was like, there's one character where I was like, I want to be able to wear that character's armor and like be more like that character. I managed to get it last night, but I found that most of the like cool looking weapons and armor takes like forever to get to. And I feel that's always been the way with FromSoft games, is like the majority of the first bit of your playthrough will always be like so underwhelming, like insanely underwhelming, and then you kind of have to like do some really crazy things to make it seem cool. And then even when I got there, I was still a bit like underwhelmed a little bit. But I'm trying to think if there's like anything. Like I can't really think. I guess it's kind of hard to say what I like about the game. It's kind of like more of like a nostalgia type thing at the minute, because the game's so hard in areas. It kind of feels more like a chore a lot of the time.
How does it? How true is it then that it's the hardest one? Do you think? Do you think that is true, or?
I honestly think it depends on your level. If you're over leveled, it can still be like massively hard. It just depends on your build. Because I think this is the first time I'm ever doing like a full magic playthrough, and I think it's almost like rock paper scissors, where like you're like always going to find it hard against one particular type of enemy, but then you're always going to find it easy against another type of enemy. But because the game like gives you both most of the time, like the game feels infinitely easy and infinitely hard at the same time. It's such a weird way of playing a game, but I actually can't remember struggling that much on previous Dark Souls games. But this one definitely feels like more of a struggle. But luckily, when I was playing that boss last night, the one that I got stuck on, after about half an hour, I was like, oh, I'm starting to like feel the confidence kick in now. I like to call it like the FromSoft confidence, where like you sort of like it kicks in at a certain point in the game, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have been scared this whole time of like dying or whatever it is. I feel like what most people struggle to get over is like the being scared of dying a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of at like I find the confidence has finally kicked in. I understand a lot more about the game now. It's kind of one of those games where I know it's too long, so I'm not really fussed about putting that much effort in. I'm just going to sort of like, much like the Pokemon, I'm just going to sort of like dabble. I think that's where I'm at with it. But I am enjoying it. It may not seem like it, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, sure.
I will say the music again, like FromSoft kill it. They kill it with the music.
Really?
Probably one of the better things about it too. Yeah.
How does it compare to your Bloodborne's, your Dark? I know you're only 20,
that's
30
difficult,
hours
man.
in, but
I still actually think Bloodborne might be the best FromSoft game.
Is it very much an open world Dark Souls then? Because that's what people are saying.
Yeah, it kind of is. There's definitely like barriers. Like there's definitely like there's bosses you have to kill to get to the next area. But yeah, oh, man, I'm trying to like compare it. I think Bloodborne actually might have been the easiest Dark Souls game.
Ugh.
Which is odd because I think a lot of people would say it isn't, but for me, I finished it super quick. I don't know why. And maybe because I maybe didn't play it. I feel like this is the biggest FromSoft game. It definitely feels like the largest one. And I think because it feels, and I know it's so much larger, it kind of feels more intimidating and a lot. I feel like there's less opportunity for me to be able to see everything. And I think you kind of have to get over that. I've definitely seen that in a lot of articles and a lot of like interviews with like the developers saying the game wasn't necessarily made for you to be able to see everything, but you can if you want, kind of like take the time. But I feel like if I took time to see everything, this game would be like 200 hours. Like, this game's a lot bigger than it seems. Like, I don't know. I think the developers even said the game was like 30 hours long. I was like, no. This is the other direction. You're talking like 100 hours to even like get close to
Right.
finishing. I think I could probably do it in like 50. Because I've gotten to the point now where there's like a farming spot that's really hard to get to, and I finally got there. And you get about 10,000 runes per time you kill a certain enemy. But as you just got to farm it, I guess. So
Sure.
I spent a little time doing it. I think I'm like level 100 or somewhere around there.
Do you
And I
like?
think you're
Do you
supposed
like?
to be about 140 at the end of the game, so I'm pretty close. But I think you could do it at level 1, technically.
Are you liking the designs of the bosses and things like that?
Yeah,
And the
that's another
enemies and
thing.
things?
I actually think the quest lines in the game, much like previous Dark Souls, might be the best thing about the game, because they're the things that a lot of the community aspect of the fandom tend to like revolve around. There's like one particular quest line that's actually my favorite quest line, which everyone seems to be doing like fan art of and like talking about on Twitter constantly. And I'm really happy about that because they did that in Dark Souls 1 as well. There was like a number of bosses and quest lines that people like did loads of fan art and like really cool art. Like that was actually one of the main reasons why I even got into Dark Souls. I think it's because I actually followed a lot of the people who did a lot of the like fan art and even like some of the main concept art for the game when it first came out. And I was like, oh, I sort of saw that and went, what's this from? And then I realized it was from the game. And I was like, oh, I'll go play the game now. So it's almost more like it's sort of like turned on its head while I'm playing the game, and then I'm seeing the art afterwards. So it's sort of like a good coming back to like my origins of Dark Souls. So it's almost like a weird nostalgia trip. This is like really hard to explain, but I will say the game is kind of like, I think the scope of the game is a lot bigger. I think it definitely deserves more of this 12 million sold thing. I think they've definitely put a lot more effort into this than they have done previous games. Like, it just seems so much more grander than usual. I think that if you had to describe this game in one word, it'd be grand.
Oh, I
That's
like
probably
that.
the best
I
way
like
to put it.
that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So yeah, that's my
All right,
weird
cool.
summary of where I'm at with that. I'll probably come back to that depending on.
I was gonna say we'll definitely bring that up when you
Yeah.
get closer and closer to the finish line.
Yeah.
It's one of those, isn't it? Like I kind of want to ask too many questions because it's like spoilers and stuff. But ultimately, the game
Yeah,
is
I could go into
like
a lot of detail, but
yeah.
there's
But
actually
like
like
Elden
too
Ring's about the
much.
gameplay, isn't it? So it's one of
I
those
don't know.
really.
FromSoft games are very much about the story, but you don't really need it to enjoy the game necessarily.
Right.
I think if you're like a
Right.
really massively hardcore fan, then you'll sort of like understand it more. I'd say that there's a lot more cinematic stuff in this game than previous ones, which is very odd for
Well, Sekiro's
FromSoft.
got quite a lot of cinematics, I believe.
I
And
mean,
like
yeah, I
actual
still need to
story.
play it, so I kind of don't know. But I feel like this one has a lot more like I would say triggers, but I don't know if that's the right word. Like, there's a lot more like things in game that happen because of decisions you made, but they're like on
Ah.
purpose. Like, that
Yeah,
always
sure.
happens. Like the thing that happens will always happen, no matter what you do. But they're a lot more cinematic in how they play out, and I think that's just different to my experience, previous experience of how Dark Souls games have played out. They've been a lot less cinematic, and I enjoy that. I like that they've gone more. They've gone more of like a, I don't know, not necessarily like Hollywood, but just more involved, I
Movie
guess. I
style.
don't know. Yeah, more of a
Yeah.
movie type thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels kind of like Lord of the Rings actually, in that kind of aspect. I don't know why. That's just what comes to mind. Like that sort of medieval type, knights and swords and magic type thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jay, keep us up to date on what's going on with Elden Ring. I'll probably think of some more questions after I play the likes of Sekiro and stuff. But
I feel
alas,
like Elden Ring will sort of be one of those games that we talk about in like a decade from now as being like one of the greats, or even like 5 years.
I get a bit. Sometimes I get a bit surprised when people have an immediate reaction to that because I think,
I know.
how can you know, right?
Well,
like,
people talk about that even about Bloodborne, and that came out
right
2014.
15.
Yeah, January 2015. Yeah, you're right.
And to be fair, people said that about The Witcher 3 at the time. They were like, "This game's incredible," and it was. So I get it. It's
I feel like
just a bit
sometimes you can just tell. I feel like if you're like us, much like if you're an avid film watcher, you can just tell if a film's going to be a cult classic or like
Right.
something that will have longevity. I feel like Elden Ring, and even just FromSoft in general, they're what like a longevity type developer. And I have a feeling like who else is like that? I guess like the Halo devs.
What do you mean? Sorry, in terms of
Like
long, like.
yeah, like games that have been around and people still aren't sick of them necessarily.
Oh yeah. What is in the original
Like they
Halos?
could always the developer could always make a new game and it'll always be good.
Oh, dude, not many of those. Not
That's
many
what
of
I'm saying.
those.
Like I feel like FromSoft haven't made a bad game, but it is
I know what
subjective,
you're saying.
obviously.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like technically, like
I think
it's
Rockstar's
very
probably up
objective.
there, probably.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I know what you mean. Annoy dog. Um, Jay, let's finish the show then. Can you please
Yeah.
take us back to the home page where we'll quickly wrap up with a Guess Who's review. Jay, if you don't know, because I know you do,
If you
Guess
don't
Who's review, we pick
know,
a
now you
random,
know.
you know. Um, Guess Who's review is where we pick a random video game review from a random gaming media outlet, and then basically we pick 3 quotes to guess, and Jay has to guess the quotes, and I've picked the game. So without further ado, Jay, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm pretty sure we
Quote number
missed last
1.
week, right? So it is definitely your turn.
Yes, yeah, it's my
Yeah,
turn.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just making sure. Okay.
Okay. Are you ready, Jay? You ready?
I'm never ready, but go on.
I don't know what one to pick first, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so that's always the toughest thing. I feel like because I've lost so many times, it's been because of when I've picked which one when.
Okay, I've got it. This first one's really hard, alright? So chill out. Quote number 1. In an effort to breathe new life into the struggling franchises, Rebellion Games, the very same
Oh,
studio that brought us the last great, not going to say that, is taking a stab at a virtual iteration for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
so Rebellion, I know, and I think they're
Okay.
known for making the Alien games, or quite a few Alien games, one or two. Did Rebellion make AVP?
I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say they made AVP, and I don't know if they might have made Colonial Marines as well.
As far as I'm aware, Jay, Gearbox made Colonial Marines,
Oh, okay.
and I know Rebellion Games for Zombie Army Trilogy
What
and
else
stuff
did
like
they
that.
do? Can you read that again? Read the quote again.
In an effort to
Virtual.
breathe new life into the struggling franchises, Rebellion Games, the very same studio that brought us the last great blank, is taking a stab at a virtual iteration for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
So the way that that quote makes it seem like this game is a sequel to the last great blank, whatever you said. That's what it's making it seem like. And
I don't want to
then
give you too much hints
bringing
here.
a virtual version to
I mean, ignore
PS3.
that. That just means a game. They just mean a
I
game.
was gonna say. So if that is like a sequel to something, Rebellion sequel. God, I don't even have a clue. I'm gonna say AVP just because it's the only one I can think they've made.
Okay. Final answer.
Yeah.
Spot
Are
on.
you
Jay
kidding
gets it
me?
right. First
No
go.
way. Are you kidding?
Nah, bro.
Oh my god.
And that was the hard one.
Wow.
Boom. Boom. Just like that. I'm like, Jay won't remember who Rebellion Games are. And then straight out of the hat, he's like, yes, they did the AVP games, the Rebellion games. I was like, right, fucking hell. Don't know Afro Samurai, but you know fucking who made
I
AVP,
know.
didn't he?
Well, okay, okay. Oh, wow.
Oh,
I
God.
played
There you go.
AVP a lot. Like
I mean, you played a
a
lot of games a
lot, a
lot
lot.
that I've put on here, but I understand.
Wow. I can't believe I got that. That's kind of insane. But all right.
There you go.
All right.
Well, very well done, Jay. Do you know what the scores are at the moment?
Yeah, I
Scores
can
on the
check.
doors.
Hang on, let's have a look. I think it's actually a lot closer than you'd think.
Do you want to know the other 2 quotes?
Yes, please.
Quote number 2. Yeah, quote number 2.
Yeah,
Blank could have been
we're now on the same. We're now both on 31.
Oh my god, that's so competitive. Blank could have been a truly great game. It's there, you can almost feel it, but it's constantly ripped away from you because of poor design decisions and a general lack of quality that keeps the game from having that AAA feeling. It's by no means a bad game and will
Very
almost
vague.
certainly please fans more than either movie effort, but when compared to other first-person shoot titles on the market, the difference is clear. That's a really long quote.
That would have
Last
been
quote.
harder.
Do you think?
Yeah, the Rebellion gave it away, I think.
Okay, fair. The last quote was, see, the design of the Marines campaign is very cookie cutter as far as FPS design is concerned. Oh, blah, blah, blah. There seems some fun to be had, and it provides an introduction to the melee mechanics that you'll need for the Blank campaigns, but at the end of the day, there are just too many better FPS games out there.
They were all actually pretty hard. I think even that one would have been hard too.
Yeah, interesting.
It would have given me the alien thing, but I don't know if I would have got AVP from that.
I understand.
I think if you said the Rebellion one last, then I would have got it.
Fair play.
Weirdly.
Fair
But
play.
I mean, you wouldn't. There's no way you know that I remember about Rebellion making AVP.
Nope.
Does anyone even know what AVP? Alien versus Predator, if nobody, you know.
If you're a fucking noob.
If you're not a
son.
gamer, like, you know.
Jesus.
Like, it's funny
Right,
how
did
you
we-
knew exactly what I meant as soon as I said AVP. You're like, yeah, I get it.
Obviously, man. Come on. And
What do you expect?
Jay, I don't want to. I am playing a game at the moment, but I want to talk about it next week. I assume you've
Okay.
been playing Elden Ring this week.
You know what? I don't know. It's weird. Elden Ring is one of those things where I think about it during the day, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do this. But I'm kind of like, I'm not like done with it necessarily. I'm not like fed up or like bored or whatever. It's just, I'm not a fan of like games that I know are going to take forever to do. You know, so I might just scrape away at it, nibble away at it, just whenever. Because I already know what happens in the story, so, and I don't really expect to get everything done because this kind of game like would take you so many hundreds of hours to get everything that it's just
Right.
kind of like not even worth like touching any of that. So I'm kind of just like in the mode of like just getting to the end, kind of like as quickly as possible, just to say that I have, you know. I think that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm already halfway there, so we'll see.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know.
All right.
We've only got 8 days till Tiny Tina.
So, is it a week tomorrow? It comes out on a Friday.
25th is a Thursday, I think.
Is
No,
it?
it's a Friday. You're right, it's a Friday. Yeah, a week
Oh,
tomorrow.
that's sick. That's sick. All right, cool.
Oh
Might do
man,
that.
it's actually annoying because we're going to get less time to play. Technically, no, we're not. Are we? Because the
What do you
clocks go
mean?
forward on Sunday,
Oh,
so we're going to have an hour less to play, which is funny if you ask me. I might just go to bed like an hour earlier than I usually do, and just try to like negate it as best I can.
well, we'll figure it out, Jay. We'll figure it out. Thank you for your time, Jay. Let's wrap it up. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Go play
Something.
something.
All right.